Is that blood splattered on your shirt? Reynhart, the treasurer? On your return, Valdemar the Councilman is grinning slyly as you return. Nasty business, wasn't it? I've already heard the news. It travels fast in these parts. A shame we had to do it this way, but who knows what you'd have charged otherwise for fighting these things. You mean you knew all along that it was zombies and not grave robbers? Oh, Valdemar the Councilman, you have made an enemy this day. We lost one of our own. We lost Sigmar. Sigmar the Murray! He died so that you could have safe graveyards. Hey, still you're getting paid. You're still getting paid. Not just still, if you didn't pay me, you'd be next. You'd be filling one of those graves. Oh, Valdemar the Councilman. He gestures to a wooden chest in the corner. 760 crowns are in there as we agreed upon. Crowns more than well deserved, I think you'll find. And don't think we're going to forget this, Councilman Valdemar. We shall remember that you and your city have caused us so much strife. Is there anyone worth hiring before we leave, before we depart here for more prosperous lands, hopefully? Bertolf, you actually look quite interesting. A militiaman, so you're probably going to have quite good fighting skills and things. But 585, that's pretty much around half of our current funds, so I think we're just going to have to leave. We're going to have to depart here. Leave the bad memories, for this is where poor Sigmar came from, and where he shall rest eternally. Come on then, men of the Purple Scythe. We strike north. Across the red lowlands, there is nothing to the south of us. There is but one road to follow, and mountains to the right. Mountains to the east, I should say, and sea to the west, and also a trade ship passing by, transporting something. It's not clear what, because I wasn't able to hover over it. Also, we passed some peasants, but we meant them no harm, and we simply continued along our way, perhaps tipping our helms as we passed, and giving a little nod of hello, before turning our eyes back forward to the path ahead, and Sea Dock, which we can probably now see across the hills there. And look, Moose Ridge! Look, we have found Moose Ridge. It doesn't look much like a ridge, but perhaps there are moose there. Maybe we could go down to White Bleck at some point and travel along Moose Ridge and see if we discover any mooses. But for now, we're going to stop in at the Seaside Village of Sea Dock. A larger, spread-out village relying on fishing and a little trade. It could be a good place to pick up some more provisions, actually. We've got 4 days of provisions, which will last us quite a long time, but we can probably get fish here pretty cheaply. They also have a contract available, which we'll have to take a look at in a moment, but first, let's pick up some... How much are there? Oh, look. They've got amber shards as well. They must have an amber site here, but we really can't afford it. But there's lots of amber production around here. We can pick up some amber and take it to some large city elsewhere and flog it off for huge profits. Huge profits, I tell you. But not right now. We could pick up some tools because we are quite low. 3 hours requires... Repairing all your equipment takes 3 hours and requires 1 tools and supplies. Alright. Well, you know what? We can hold off on that for the time being. We'll wait until we've done some more questing and earned ourselves some more cash. Likewise, we've got plenty of medicinal supplies. We could probably do with some more ammunition, but not immediately. I'm going to pick up a spare quiver, though, because we ran out last time. I can give that to our best archer, and hopefully we'll do a little bit better. Nay, indeed. Don't think we need any swords or equipment. They don't have anything particularly interesting in the way of armor or helms or anything like that, so we're just going to have to stick with that, I think. Do they even have fish here? It relies on fishing, but they don't actually sell fish in the market, so it can't rely that heavily on fishing, obviously. Let's leave, and we'll see if there are any likely lads here looking to sign on to a mercenary company. What have we got? Dietmar, a monk. Higher bravery, but lower max fatigue. I don't think we want to take anybody who has low fatigue. Fatigue is so important that we don't really want to. Ulf the fisherman, we could take him. Wilhelm the monk, also a monk. They must have like a monastery or something around here. Another fisherman. Wow, there's lots of fishermen. Carsten the weasel. Wow, it's a new weasel. He's got lower melee skill defense. Lower melee skill and a higher ranged defense. So it could be good with a bow, potentially. But he's called the Weasel. I mean, we have bad memories about someone named the Weasel, right? And he looks like a weasel too. So we're going to avoid him, and we're going to go with Ike, killer on the run. Do we want to hire a killer on the run? I think we'll hold off on hiring Ike for the time being. If you think we should hire Ike, then let me know. Send some kind of trans-dimensional communication, and maybe we'll come back and hire Ike. He has blood on his hands. Ike resembles a man recently described to you by bounty hunters. Some believe he struck down a man in self-defense. A man of Ike's psyche could be useful, but how much can you depend upon a man whose former life was one of being on the run? Also, will that former life catch up with us? He does have a higher chance to hit the head, which is pretty handy. But I think for the time being, what we'll do is we'll pick up a couple of fishermen. Baldwin, you're the cheapest. I guess this guy's more expensive because he has a knife and a hat. We don't really need the knife and the hat. So we're going to take Baldwin. Ironically, Baldwin always hated the water, but became a fisherman after his father and father's father. As long as there was no storm, he was out there fishing, day in and day out. Much to his dismay, for almost a whole summer, most of the fish he caught were already dead and rotten inside. Oh no, some kind of curse, possibly related to the rising of the zombies? Visiting the tavern one evening, a new opportunity presented itself, with the promise of coin for dangerous work. Yes, it's not actually in the tavern, to be fair, it's in the village square, but nonetheless, a new opportunity presents itself. Come join me, Baldwin! You are hired as a new member of the Purple Scythe. Should we take another one? That's got us back up to 8. I don't want to push it too much, but we could probably hire one more. We could maybe hire Ulf. Always had a lucky hand in finding the best fishing grounds and catching the fattest fish. As long as there was no storm, he was out there fishing, day in, day out. It was after a priest of the gods told Ulf that the life of a fisherman was not what they desired of him, but that they wished him to spill blood in their name. Is this not the same story as Sigmar? I think it might be. Is that a good sign, or is it a bad sign? I mean, the last time the gods sent somebody to abandon their life as a fisherman, their presumably fairly peaceful and somewhat, enjoyable life as a fisherman, a lucky life indeed as a fisherman, and put a sword in their hand and sent them to join the mercenary company, the Purple Scythe. Well, it didn't end well, did it? He died. He died for his troubles. Let's do it, though. Let's hire him. It's pushing our monies a little bit low, but we're going to stick to it. I think the more we have, the better chance we have of everybody staying alive. So I think we'll do that. I'm not going to hire either of these monks, despite the fact that they're dirt cheap, because I just don't want somebody with low max fatigue at all, ever. Ever again. We might come back and hire Ike, though. So, yeah, we'll see about that. All right. That's good. Let's equip these new people and see if we've got enough stuff so that we don't need to actually buy anything. We should have. We've got a hand axe, one-handed axe with a medium-long shaft, a refined head, 30 to 55 damage. That's pretty good, and he's got a pretty good melee skill actually. So let's give him a hand axe and a shield to help him stay alive. Does he need a net? Do you think? I actually completely forgot to use the nets last time. It'll just drain his fatigue a bit more. I think I'm going to leave the net off of him. We'll keep a few nets. We'll have like one net person who we remember is the net person, which I think was it was Sigmar, wasn't it? Oops. He might have actually been able to make use of that net as well to save his own life. Never mind. Baldwin, you're actually pretty good with 53 melee skill, and what you got? Melee defense is 16. Well, 1 without the shield, but still, that's 1. It's better than nothing. 89 fatigue. Hit points of 59. All round, actually, a pretty good chap here, Baldwin. I've got high hopes for you. What is your Patreon title honorific going to be? It's actually come up as Andrew Murray again. So there you go. It's fated. It's fated. The Murray has returned already. We've decided that, because he's a fisherman and, Sigmar was a fisherman, and I think he pretty much had the same backstory, or was that the other fisherman? It was probably the other fisherman. But nonetheless, he's going to become Baldwin the Murray. There we go, Baldwin the Murray. Let us hope you do better and survive longer than Sigmar the Murray. it did. Your name is somewhat less impressive, although Baldwin, you know, Alec Baldwin, the Baldwins, there are many good Baldwins, including Jane. Just saying. Does he look like a Jane? Maybe we can make him look even more like a Jane if we find a Barber's. Let's consider that a plan, a future plan. Do we have any armor that we can give to him? I guess the armor must have been. Was he even wearing armor? Old Sigmar. He may not have been. That was probably part of the reason why he died. There's none here, so there's nothing more we can give to him unless we can buy something new. Ulf, unfortunately, you don't even get like a hat. Well, I mean, you've got your straw hat. You've got a straw hat to protect you from the rigors of being attacked and slain by the enemy. We do have 2 spears already, so maybe take the short sword instead. That could work. You might look a bit more badass if you put like a hood on or a headscarf. The headscarf is too weak, but take the hood. There you go. You look more like a mercenary now, Ulf. Ulf, who are you going to be named for? Who will your Patreon title be drawn from? Aaron, Inane Data. Aaron, Inane Data. So, I guess you will be Ulf of the Inane Data. There you go. Ulf of the Inane Data. It's a very fantasy-esque name, obviously. But the Inane Data is a little-known religious cult of this world, specifically one that tells fishermen that they are destined for something other than being fishermen and send them off to join mercenary companies. There we go, Ulf of the Inane Data. Or maybe it could just be Ulf of Inane Data. There we go. Excellent, good. Alright, they are all kind of set. Is there any armor that we can buy here? Well, a thick tunic for 35 armor, but that's basically it. I think we're going to have to wait till we get to somewhere a little bit bigger, where hopefully they will have some better armors, and maybe we can sell some amber shards to be able to afford it, and other things. But right now, I'm not going to sell any of this stuff because you don't get very good prices in villages, even large villages. It's much better to sell things in cities, I think. So let us just go and see what this contract is. Hopefully it's not another. We're not going to go if it's another graveyard, right? I mean, actually, we kind of did okay, and it was sort of my fault that Sigmar died. If I'd held him back and hadn't pushed him forward, then he wouldn't have gotten isolated, and we could probably have held the line, and we would have done a lot better. But, nonetheless, we have traumatic experiences in our recent past in graveyards. Negotiations! You enter Seadock, and a man immediately approaches after we've, recruited several people and been to the market. Trundling through the mud to get to you, he announces himself as someone in the employ of Reynhart the Treasurer, a man of some power in this village, and he, along with the thoughts and monies of others, have decided to seek your services. Interesting. Well, I'm all ears. Reynhart the Treasurer folds his hands together when he sees you. Look at this. He's the Treasurer? Is that blood splattered on your shirt? Reynhart the Treasurer? This might be a strange question, but how interested are you in making a delivery for me? You explain that for the right price, such a journey would be a welcome departure from the usual killing and dying that goes on around you. Indeed, we have suffered much dying of late. Well, one dying of late. And then, prior to that, in the old world, much dying. There was much dying there. There were goblins and all sorts. It was horrible. The man claps his hands together. Excellent! Unfortunately, I don't expect it to be quite like that. It's of enough import to garner unsavoury attention, which is why I'm looking to hire sellswords in the first place. It's going to Holin's Island. Holn Island. Oh, we've been to Holn, but it is close, I suppose. You really want us to go back to Holn Island, where a man by the name of Hijalmar the Councilman is waiting for it to fall into his hands. So you see, this won't be the departure you speak of, but it could be a fine payday if you're interested. Well, I mean, I did swear that I would never return to Holn Island, or at least I said that I wouldn't, and I meant it at the time, but it's pretty close, and a delivery mission, a short-range delivery mission, could be a nice way of getting a few extra crowns. How many crowns are we talking about, though? Well, I'm tight on crowns, so before you ask, this is all I have right now. You'll be paid 170 crowns when the contract is done. Forget it. I'm not doing it for 170 crowns. It'll cost more than that in men's wages on the way down there. I want more. No way. Reynhart the treasurer shouts, bursting. No way! You'll get 170 crowns when the contract is done. I will more on completion. Fine. Fine then. How about this? You'll get 270 crowns when the contract is done. He's caved. It's still not enough. It's not enough. Make it like 350 to 400 and we might have a deal. 350. You know what I think he's going to keep on caving. I reckon we can push this. You know what? Reynhart the treasurer, I still want more on completion. Reynhart the treasurer turns red with anger. Get out of here! I'm not in the habit of making deals with greedy devils. We won't risk. It's not about risking our lives, to be honest with you. It's just that. I mean, it seemed like you were going to keep offering more, so I kept pushing you. Sorry. I would have done it, actually, for 350, but it's too late now, so we'll just leave, shall we? Alright, well, we can't get a contract here in Sea Dock, so I guess that means we're just going to have to head out on the road on our own and see what we can find. Maybe we'll travel to a new village, a new nearby town. Let's just pause it for a second and take a look at the map. So fortunately for us, we do kind of know the lay of the land. The various powers are well known in these lands, and they have been marked on our map. So we've got kind of a good idea of the different places that we can visit. And we can head south down here to Whiteblick, and also to Erlachberg. Those are kind of on the edge of the world, so I don't know if we really want to go in this direction. As cool as it would be, obviously, to travel Moose Ridge to Whiteblick, but it's just a small village. There's not really much there, and I quite fancy finding us a good-sized town. Stonekeep, it's okay, but I think we're probably better off traveling north. If we continue to travel north, look, Krakenfesti, what a great sounding place this is. A massive citadel guards a warport and the surrounding trade routes. It is a seat of power for nobility and home to a large garrison. That's interesting. What seat of power is that then? Is that for the House Horn? Always watchful. The House of Horn holds high the principles of justice and honor, and without irrational rulings their region has prospered. Their reputation may be peaceful, but Horn knights are battle-hardened, and their troops will ferociously fight anyone threatening their realm, subordinates or principals. Many nobles envy their wealth and ridicule their principles. House Steinwall especially holds a more or less overt grudge against those of Horn. Is Steinwall where we are at the moment? It's not. We're actually in House Horn. I guess that councilman wasn't actually a member of House Horn because he really did not uphold honor. Maybe we should try and ingratiate ourselves, try and get to know the nobles of House Horn, and we can ultimately utilize that knowledge to somehow get back at Councilmaan Valdemar at some point in the future. Alright, fine, we're going to do it. We're going to travel to Krakenfesti. Away into the night. We shall journey under the stars, men of the Purple Scythe. We have not a huge distance to go, but hopefully the road will be safe enough. It might be interesting to get involved in a little scuffle along the way, but when nobody's paying for it. Oh, look, there are footprints ahead. There is somebody up ahead. We can't see them at the moment because it's nighttime. We're passing a trading caravan. That's fine. Whoever it is that's up ahead is travelling way faster than we can. Look at that. Oh, it's some peasants. It's some peasants. They're off. The peasants are travelling also to Krakenfesti. We could have travelled with them, offered them some sort of protection maybe. That might have been nice actually if you could offer protection to passing peasants and caravans and things in return for some pay. But no, we have... Look at the size of that citadel. It is a mighty citadel. Krakenfesti, this massive citadel, guards our warport and the surrounding trade routes. Yes, it does. And, more importantly, would you also produce amber, apparently. Does everybody around here produce amber? Is it just like... It's just like known as the Amber Coast or something. Everyone produces amber. We can't sell it to anybody. That's fine. We can sell our other stuff if we want to. We could maybe sell like a butcher's cleaver. We're never going to sell Alfred's woodcutter's axe, obviously, because it's just too awesome. Maybe that could go to Baldwin once we've got some decent armor for him so he can stay alive. That would be pretty cool. There's not much gear in this market, you know. Let's sell the flails because they didn't turn out to be very good. We'll sell the stick as well. We'll keep the hats because we might need them in a pinch. We're not going to need a bit of sackcloth clothing, I don't think. How are we doing for food? Provisions, 2 days of food. Let's buy some ground grains. It's cheap and not particularly nice, but, you know, it is at least satiating. There we go. We got some food. We're going to last 4 days now. We do need tools and supplies as well. So let's buy some. Oh, look at this. Our funds are getting dangerously low. Dangerously low indeed. Alright. There is a weaponsmith here, but no armourer. There really isn't any decent armour on offer anywhere, though, is there? A thick tunic is the best that they have for sale here. I don't want a thick tunic. Thank you very much. I'm pretty sure all of my guys have, well, Ulf would probably benefit from a thick tunic. In fact, you can just wear this linen tunic instead. There you go, Ulf. Don't say I never did anything for you. Any contracts available? No, there's no contracts available here, so there's nothing really to do. We'll just move on. Alright, so where are we going to go? What shall we do? I think, I mean, I'm tempted to just kind of head north because we can continue to follow the road then and see what we can find. But we could always travel to Himmelsdorf and then back round through Krakenfesti. And if we could sell to these guys, like our things, then we could maybe bring some dyes back to Krakenfesti and make a little bit of scratch, make a little bit of a living. Let's do that. We're going to give that a go. I think it's a good idea to visit all of these different regions. Plus, Himmelsdorf is not under the control of a major power, whereas Wolfswall is, and in fact all of the towns up here until we get to Schimmelsheim are under the control of a major power. So I think we might be more likely to find work in somewhere like this. It's like a small independent place. So let's do it. We're heading to the west around the mountains and then north to Himmelsdorf. Not this day, for there are yet men who defend these walls. Men who will put arrow to bowstring and let fly in defense of all that is great and good in this land. A land that was naught but mud and trees before the return of the king. And we have labored long, and by the sweat of our minion brows, we have cleared the mighty forests and raised works of wood and stone, towers and walls to hold back the night, shrines burning bright with the power of our gold, that the gods themselves might know of our struggle. We have sown the fields, harvested the woods, and reaped the shiniest of shiny coins, and we shall not go back.